Seo Jung Hoo is in his dimly lit loft. This space is not just a home. It is a sanctuary filled with high-tech gadgets and an inspiring image of a tropical island, symbolizing his dreams of escape and freedom. As the camera pans across his environment, we see him donning a sleek black outfit, embodying the mysterious and skilled persona of healer. He is a night courier, someone who undertakes secretive missions for clients who require discretion and efficiency. Jung-hoo's first assignment sets the tone for his character. He is tasked with escorting a nervous client who is clutching a briefcase. The tension escalates when he realizes that rival couriers from S Guard are also after the same target. This moment showcases Jung-hoo's quick thinking and resourcefulness. He assesses the situation and decides that the odds are against him. However, Min-ya, his tech-savvy partner, reminds him of the financial incentive, pushing him to proceed with the risky job. As Jung-hoo boards the subway with his client, he quickly assesses the situation. He spots the goons from S Guard entering the train on either side, closing in on them. The atmosphere becomes charged with tension as Jung-hoo calmly reassures his client that he is healer and will get him to safety. However, the odds are stacked against him, and he contemplates abandoning the mission when Min-ya reminds him of the financial incentive. 5 million won. With no choice but to proceed, Jung-hoo expertly navigates through the subway car, using his agility and quick thinking to evade capture. When the train stops unexpectedly in a dark tunnel, Min-ya hacks into the system to halt it, allowing Jung-hoo and his client to escape into the darkness. A thrilling fight ensues in the tunnels as Jung-hoo faces off against multiple attackers from S Guard. The choreography of this scene highlights Jung-hoo's combat skills and resourcefulness as he deftly takes down his opponents while ensuring his client's safety. As Jung-hoo completes his mission, he learns that the man he escorted is in grave danger and wishes to flee to the USA. Meanwhile, Young Shin's admiration for her colleague Mun-hoo, who reports on social issues, grows as she watches him cover a protest against Sa-mang industry. Mun-hoo's investigation leads him to hire Jung-hoo for a personal mission, finding a missing person, who turns out to be Young Shin herself. In parallel, we meet Chae Young Shin, an ambitious online entertainment reporter for Someday News. She is marked by her determination to make a name for herself in a male-dominated field. The episode captures her tenacity as she bluffs her way into a celebrity's apartment under the guise of delivering flowers. This initial scene effectively showcases her resourcefulness and ambition, even if it results in her only capturing a photo of shoes rather than the celebrity himself, which proves insufficient for her boss. During that assignment to expose a celebrity scandal, she finds herself in a precarious situation when she encounters Bai Sang-soo in a parking garage. Overhearing Sang-soo's furious phone call about healers' interference in their operations piques her interest. In a moment of boldness, she snatches a blurry photo from Sang-soo's convertible that could potentially reveal healer's identity. This act not only showcases her fearless nature but also sets off her quest to uncover more about this enigmatic figure. As Young Shin returns home, her interactions with her adoptive father reveal her longing for connection and her aspirations as a journalist. She confides in him about her dreams of becoming famous and her desire to find her biological parents. This dual motivation adds depth to her character and foreshadows her eventual connection with Jung-hoo. Unbeknownst to her, Jung-hoo has been tasked with obtaining DNA from her for another mission, one that involves finding a missing person connected to her past. Chae Young Shin hurriedly gets prepared for her day. She lives above her father's coffee shop, where he juggles his roles as a part-time lawyer and cafe owner. She rushes down the stairs trying to get to work early. We see glimpses of her childhood through flashbacks, a Young Shin learning to pick locks from a former criminal, showcasing her resourcefulness and hinting at the unconventional life she has led. She rushes out the door, grabbing a piece of toast, determined to make a name for herself as a journalist. As Young Shin boards the bus, she finds it packed with commuters. She spots an empty seat but is jostled by the crowd. Seo Jung Hoo, known as Healer, enters just behind her. He takes a seat directly behind her, his eyes hidden behind sunglasses. Jung Hoo is on a mission. He needs to collect a hair sample from Young Shin for his client, Kim Moon-ho, who suspects she might be his long-lost niece. As he leans forward to get closer, Young Shin adjusts her hat, unknowingly blocking his view. She suspects that she is being followed. After they exit the bus, Jung Hoo spots Young Shin's backpack and decides to create a distraction. He kicks the can into a man riding a bike nearby, making him to fall down and causing chaos as people start shouting. In the confusion, he snatches Young Shin's backpack and starts to walk away. Young Shin notices immediately and chases after him. Jung Hoo takes the backpack to a near washroom. Inside the backpack was nothing but plenty of books and pens. He was expecting to find hairbrush or toothbrush to be used for the DNA mission. She followed him to the washroom where he swiftly wraps his arm around her waist from behind, using his skills to clip her fingernail without revealing himself. Jung Hoo tells her not to follow strangers. He releases her and disappears, leaving Young Shin bewildered but intrigued by the mysterious man. Later at work, Jung Hoo delivers Young Shin's fingernails to his client Min, who threw her rider Dae Young. Dae Young complains about being under appreciated while Jung Hoo remains focused on his task, hinting at his own internal conflict about his secret life as healer. Min Ya is frustrated with their mundane tasks. She expresses her desire for more exciting jobs while Jung Hoo listens quietly. We need something big. I'm tired of these petty deliveries. Min Ya tells Jung Hoo. Young Shin, on her chase for celebrity news, finds herself on a rooftop where a woman is about to jump off. She approaches cautiously, trying to connect with the woman by sharing her own traumatic past abandonment by her parents and experiences in foster care. Young Shin tells her, I know what it feels like to be alone, but you're not alone anymore. As she speaks from the heart, Jung Hoo watches from a distance through his glasses, streaming the moment lived to Min Ya. The tension builds as Young Shin reaches out emotionally. Meanwhile, Moon Ho watches the live stream of Young Shin's intervention. He is visibly moved by her strength and vulnerability. Memories flood back of his own past with his brother Moon Shik, who had similar struggles. Moon Ho tells himself, She's just like us, fighting against everything. Determined to learn more about Young Shin, he resolves to dig deeper into her life and find out how they are connected. That night, Jung Hoo decides to break into Young Shin's apartment while she is out working late. He searches through her belongings for clues about her dreams and aspirations, but finds mostly personal items and articles she has written about social issues. As he rummages through her things, he stumbles upon photos of himself from various news articles that she has collected over time. Young Shin encounters a thug harassing a woman in a car. She tries to intervene but is pushed aside by the henchman. However, she refuses to back down and circles back when she sees the woman in distress again. Jung Hoo watches from afar, impressed by her courage but also concerned for her safety. Moon Ho received a call from his friend at the DNA lab who confirms that Young Shin shares maternal DNA with him. This revelation sends shockwaves through him. He realizes that their lives are intertwined in ways he hadn't anticipated. You're related, you need to protect her, he said. This revelation adds urgency to Moon Ho's mission as he becomes more invested in ensuring Young Shin's safety from potential threats lurking in their pasts. As Jung Hoo continues following Young Shin out of concern rather than obligation, he learns that he is now wanted by police for murder, specifically for the death of Go Sung Chul, one of his recent clients. Min Ya warns him about the growing danger surrounding him, but Jung Hoo remains resolute. He feels compelled to stay close to Young Shin despite the risks involved. Jung Hoo realizes that staying involved with Young Shin could put both their lives at risk as he grapples with this new threat while trying to uncover more about Young Shin's life and dreams. Kim Moon Ho is tossing and turning in his sleep. He is haunted by a recurring nightmare involving Choi Myung-hee, his sister-in-law, and her newborn baby. In the dream, a young Moon Ho runs through a hospital corridor, spotting Myung-hee cradling her baby Jian. He smiles tentatively and offers a teddy bear. Suddenly, the scene shifts. The baby disappears, and so does Myung-hee. Moon Ho wakes up in a cold sweat, troubled by the dream. He reflects on his past, telling himself, after that day, I keep dreaming that dream because I have committed a sin. This moment establishes the emotional weight of his character as he grapples with guilt and loss. Meanwhile, Chae Young Shin is at home with her father, Chae Kai-soo. They discuss the woman Young Shin saved from suicide in the previous episode. The woman expresses her desire to stay with them and asks Kai-soo to become her lawyer. Young Shin is determined to help the woman but also feels the pressure of her job as an entertainment reporter. She shares her ambitions with her father about becoming a well-respected journalist who exposes injustices. While Young Shin is busy in the living room, Jung Hoo, operating as healer, sneaks into her apartment and planted hidden cameras and bugs her flip phone. He struggles comically with the outdated technology. What kind of antique is this? How do I even? Tells himself. As he fumbles around, Young Shin enters her room singing loudly. Jung Hoo quickly hides under her bed, trying not to make a sound while she belts out a tune. Young Shin arrives at the office and is greeted by her quirky colleagues. She introduces herself to the new junior reporter Park Bong Soo, who is actually Jung Hoo in disguise. Young Shin gives him a tour of the office while explaining the rules, like respecting food labels in the fridge. While she mischievously takes a bite out of someone else's lunch, Young Shin tells him, and remember, no eating other people's food without asking. Bong Soo answered, got it. Sunbae? This light-hearted moment contrasts with Jung Hoo's serious mission as he tries to blend in while gathering information about Young Shin and her colleagues. Meanwhile, Moon Ho is at work where he continues his investigation into Young Shin's background. He watches footage from his spy camera planted in Young Shin's apartment and learns about her dreams of being a great journalist like Oriana Fallaci. His colleague warns him about potential dangers surrounding Young Shin due to their shared past and how it might affect their futures. Later that day, Young Hoo observes Young Shin cleaning up outside the coffee shop when he notices Moon Ho watching her from his car. Curious about Moon Ho's intentions, Young Hoo decides to follow him after he speeds off. Young Hoo leaps across rooftops in pursuit, showcasing his agility and skills as healer. He calls courier Kang Dae-young for assistance and borrows her motorcycle despite her protests. Young Hoo follows Moon Ho to his brother's house where he finds himself dodging security cameras and guards. He manages to sneak inside and explores Myung Hee's old bedroom. There he discovers a group photo of 5 people, one of which includes himself, connecting him further to Myung Hee's past. This discovery excites Young Hoo as it hints at deeper connections between their lives and sets up future confrontations. Meanwhile, at S Corporation, Moon Shik, who is Moon Ho's brother, meets with an associate discussing shady deals involving rival companies. The atmosphere is tense as they plot against Jeil News Corporation while hinting at darker motives behind their actions. Moon Shik's demeanor reveals his ruthless ambition as he contemplates how far he will go for power and control over rivals like Jeil News Corporation. Back at Someday News, Young Shin pitches an article idea about Yeon Hee, a woman who was sexually exploited, to her editor. Despite her passion for the story, her editor dismisses it as unimportant compared to other news stories. Feeling frustrated but undeterred, she decides to pursue the story independently while growing closer to Bong Soo, who encourages her ambitions without revealing his true identity or intentions. Young Hoo reflects on his situation while talking with Min Ya. She expresses concern over his safety as he remains a murder suspect, but also acknowledges that there are pieces missing from the puzzle regarding Go Sung-chul's death. Young Hoo wants to find the person who is trying to frame him for murder. He resolves to find out who is behind these plots against him while keeping an eye on Young Shin for any potential danger she may face due to their connection. Meanwhile, Young Shin is grappling with the repercussions of her latest article that exposes corruption within the political sphere. Her fearless reporting has drawn the ire of powerful figures, leading to a palpable sense of danger surrounding her. As she navigates the fallout, we see her determination and resilience shine through, but it's clear that she is walking a tightrope. Meanwhile, Moon Ho is deeply concerned about Young Shin's safety. He knows all too well the lengths to which those in power will go to silence dissent. As he strategizes on how to protect her, he finds himself increasingly drawn to her fiery spirit and unwavering commitment to justice. Healer, with his unique set of skills and a mysterious past, he operates in the shadows, taking on dangerous assignments for a living. However, when he learns about Young Shin's predicament, something stirs within him. Despite Min Jae's warnings about getting involved with someone like Young Shin, someone who could expose him, Healer feels an undeniable urge to protect her. In a moment of introspection, we catch glimpses of Healer's troubled childhood. Flashbacks reveal his upbringing in a harsh environment that molded him into the complex character he is today. This backstory adds depth to his motivations and highlights his internal struggle between remaining detached and embracing his emotions. As tensions rise, Young Shin finds herself in dire straits when she is kidnapped by gangsters intent on silencing her once and for all. The scene is intense, showcasing her bravery as she tries to stand her ground against her captors. However, it quickly becomes clear that she is outmatched and in grave danger. Just as hope seems lost, Healer springs into action. Utilizing his exceptional parkour skills and combat training, he infiltrates the gang's hideout with stealth and precision. The choreography of his movements is breathtaking as he navigates through obstacles with agility and grace. The fight is not just physical. It's a battle of wits as he outmaneuvers them while ensuring Young Shin remains unaware of the violence unfolding around her. His primary goal is to rescue her without exposing his true identity or revealing the darker aspects of his world. As he fights valiantly to free Young Shin, their connection deepens. Though they are still strangers in many ways, there's an undeniable chemistry that begins to blossom amidst the chaos. Healer's protective instincts kick in full force as he finally manages to get Young Shin out of harm's way. After their harrowing escape, Young Shin is left shaken but grateful. She senses that someone has come to her aid but remains oblivious to Healer's true identity. Their brief encounter leaves her intrigued and curious about this mysterious savior who appeared just when she needed him most. Young Shin is still reeling from the events of the previous night. Just when it seems all hope is lost, Healer, disguised as Bong Soo, arrives to save the day. With acrobatic finesse, he takes down the goons while shielding Young Shin from the violence, his protective instincts kicking in full force. As the fight unfolds, Young Shin gasps for air, trembling in fear. Healer quickly covers her eyes to block out the chaos, whispering reassurances as he hands her the pills she desperately needs. Their connection deepens in this moment, a silent understanding passing between them as he pulls her close to shield her from danger. After the thugs retreat, Healer and Young Shin share a fleeting moment where she tries to catch a glimpse of his face. He instinctively pulls her back, keeping his identity hidden. The tension between them is palpable. She is intrigued by this mysterious savior who has repeatedly come to her aid. Meanwhile, Moon Ho is grappling with his own demons. He realizes that his miscalculations have put everyone at risk, especially Young Shin. As he watches from afar, he feels a mix of admiration and frustration at the unfolding events. His brother's involvement complicates matters further as he struggles with feelings of helplessness against the powerful forces at play. Sang-soo learns about Healer's connection to Young Shin. He orders his men to dig deeper into her background, putting her in even greater danger. Minya warns him that staying close to Young Shin could lead to disastrous consequences. Despite the risks, Healer can't help but feel drawn to Young Shin. Their paths continue to intertwine as they both seek answers and justice in a world filled with corruption and deceit. The stakes are higher than ever as they navigate their complicated feelings amidst external threats. As tensions rise within the palace walls, Queen O seeks an audience with Ki-chul to negotiate for Young Shin's safety. She knows that time is running out and that Ki-chul's ambitions could put them all at risk. Meanwhile, Young Shin and Healer embark on a dangerous mission to find President Hang, a key figure who holds vital information about their enemies. During their journey through the forest, Young Shin can't help but chatter about everything under the sun, including Healer's supposed crush on her. Their banter lightens the mood but also reveals the growing bond between them. However, danger lurks around every corner as Ki-chul sends men to intercept them. In a heart-stopping moment, they try to retrieve supplies for Young Shin but realizes that Ki-chul's men are already on their trail. A thrilling chase ensues through the forest as they race against time to reach President Hang before it's too late. As they finally confront Hang, tensions flare and violence erupts. Young Shin stands her ground despite being scared and vulnerable. She refuses to back down from seeking justice. In an impressive display of stealth and strategy, Healer devises a plan to create a distraction that allows them both to escape unharmed. In the midst of this turmoil, Moon Ho arrives on the scene. His protective instincts kick in as he tries to shield Young Shin from both Huang's wrath and the ensuing chaos. The three characters are thrust into a dynamic interplay of emotions. Fear, admiration, and unspoken feelings swirl around them as they navigate this dangerous situation together. After escaping the greenhouse, Young Shin and Healer find themselves alone for a brief moment. The air is thick with unspoken words as they share a charged silence. Young Shin's heart races not just from fear but from an undeniable attraction to her mysterious savior. She grapples with her feelings for Healer while trying to process her confrontation with President Huang. Meanwhile, Moon Ho is left to deal with his own emotions. He feels a mix of frustration and admiration for Young Shin's tenacity but also recognizes that their lives are becoming increasingly intertwined in ways he never anticipated. His protective nature clashes with his growing concern for both Young Shin and Jung Hoo. As tensions simmer down, Young Shin confides in Moon Ho about her growing feelings for Healer. She admits that she feels drawn to him in ways she can't quite explain. Moon Ho listens intently but struggles with his own emotions. He knows that Healer is not just an ordinary man, he's a dangerous figure whose life could put Young Shin at risk. In a parallel storyline, Jung Hoo grapples with his dual identity as Healer and the man who longs for connection. He reflects on his past and how it shapes his present decisions. His internal conflict deepens as he realizes that being close to Young Shin could expose them both to unimaginable danger. The meeting between Moon Ho and President Huang is tense. Moon Ho confronts Huang about his corrupt practices, vowing to expose him through an upcoming article. The stakes are higher than ever as alliances shift and tensions rise. Young Shin watches from afar, feeling torn between her loyalty to Moon Ho and her burgeoning feelings for Jung Hoo. As she witnesses their confrontation unfold, she realizes that the fight against corruption is not just about journalism, it's about protecting those she cares for. Young Shin's courage shines brightly as she stands up against powerful adversaries while grappling with her feelings for Healer. Meanwhile, Jung Hoo's internal struggle deepens as he balances his dual life. Young Shin is anxious and vulnerable. She is still processing the danger she has faced. Meanwhile, Healer is grappling with his feelings for her and the risks that come with being close to someone so exposed to danger. Their connection deepens as they navigate their complicated emotions amidst a backdrop of impending threats. In a pivotal moment, Secretary O reports to Elder about Young Shin's involvement with Moon Ho and Healer, viewing her as a liability. This sets off alarm bells for both Jung Hoo and Moon Ho, who realize that they must protect her at all costs. As tensions rise, Young Shin receives a tip about an exclusive interview with Yun Hee, a former convict who holds crucial information. Despite Moon Ho's warnings to stay cautious, her determination to uncover the truth drives her forward. Jung Hoo is assigned to accompany her, and their chemistry becomes evident as they share playful banter during their preparations. Their reunion with the ex-cons is heartwarming, showcasing Young Shin's ability to connect with those who have faced adversity. However, it's clear that danger lurks just around the corner. As they leave the gathering, Young Shin's instincts kick in. She senses someone is watching them. In a shocking twist, Young Shin is lured into a trap using voice modulation technology. She finds herself in a dark room, disoriented and terrified. The stakes escalate as she realizes she has been kidnapped by those who want to silence her investigation. Jung Hoo receives the urgent call about Young Shin's disappearance while en route to meet Sabu. Panic surges through him as he races against time to find her. His determination to rescue her reveals just how deeply he cares for her, setting the stage for a thrilling rescue mission. In a heart-pounding sequence, Jung Hoo employs his skills as healer to locate Young Shin. With unwavering resolve, he navigates through obstacles and confronts the kidnappers. The tension reaches its peak as he uses a rigged pulley system to pull them both up to safety just as the elevator plummets down the shaft, a breathtaking moment that showcases his bravery and ingenuity. When he finally reaches Young Shin, their reunion is charged with emotion. She berates him for risking his life to save hers, highlighting her fierce independence and empathy. Jung Hoo's voiceover reflects his internal struggle. He's torn between wanting to protect her and acknowledging his growing feelings. After their escape, Young Shin tries to thank Jung Hoo in business terms, expressing regret over not being able to repay him for saving her life. This moment is poignant. It underscores her belief that Healer has no personal interest in her, he's merely fulfilling a job. However, Jung Hoo sees through this facade. He recognizes how much she values their connection. In a moment of vulnerability, he turns back toward her after initially walking away, indicating that he's ready to embrace the emotional bond they share. This marks a turning point in their relationship, a shift from mere acquaintances to something deeper. Healer masterfully blends suspense and emotional depth as Young Shin and Jung Hoo navigate their evolving relationship amidst external threats. Their journey is fraught with danger but also filled with moments of tenderness that hint at the love blossoming between them. Young Shin is in a state of shock as she discovers that Moon Ho, her mentor, has been behind the enigmatic healer's protection all along. The revelation hits her hard, shaking her trust and leaving her questioning the motives of those around her. Meanwhile, Jung Hoo watches from the shadows, his heart heavy with the knowledge that he must keep his identity hidden while protecting her. As Young Shin grapples with this newfound information, she confronts Moon Ho about his decision to hire Healer. Their conversation is charged with emotion. Young Shin feels betrayed yet understands the necessity of keeping her safe. This pivotal moment deepens their bond but also complicates her feelings for both men. While tensions simmer between Young Shin and Moon Ho, Jung Hoo is consumed by his own internal conflict. He reflects on his past and the pain of losing his father, which fuels his determination to protect Young Shin at all costs. As he prepares for his next mission, he knows that every move he makes could put both their lives in jeopardy. In a parallel scene, Moon Sik, Moon Ho's brother and a powerful figure in the dark underbelly of society, begins to piece together clues about Healer's identity. His growing curiosity poses a significant threat to Jung Hoo and Young Shin, creating an atmosphere of suspense as danger looms closer. As the night unfolds, Young Shin receives a call from an anonymous source claiming to have information about her mother. Driven by desperation and hope, she decides to meet this mysterious figure alone, despite Jung Hoo's warnings. Unbeknownst to her, this meeting is a setup orchestrated by Moon Sik's man. Jung Hoo senses something is amiss and races against time to reach Young Shin before it's too late. His heart pounds as he navigates through the city streets, fueled by a mix of fear and determination. The stakes have never been higher. He knows that if he fails, it could cost Young Shin everything. In a nail-biting sequence, Jung Hoo arrives just as Young Shin is cornered by thugs in an abandoned warehouse. With adrenaline coursing through his veins, he springs into action, showcasing his incredible skills as healer. The fight is intense. Each blow exchanged is a testament to his resolve to protect the woman who has captured his heart. As he fights off the attackers with agility and precision, Jung Hoo manages to reach Young Shin just in time. Their eyes lock in a moment filled with unspoken words. Relief washes over them both as they realize they are safe once more. After their harrowing escape, Young Shin and Jung Hoo find themselves alone in a quiet moment. The tension between them crackles as they process what just happened. Young Shin's gratitude spills over into concern as she berates him for risking his life again. In a poignant exchange, Jung Hoo opens up about his fears and vulnerabilities for the first time. He shares glimpses of his past, his father's suicide, and the emotional scars it left behind. This moment of vulnerability draws them closer together. Young Shin realizes that beneath the tough exterior lies a man who has faced profound pain. As they share this intimate moment, their connection deepens further, and unspoken understanding blooms between them. In a sweet yet tentative gesture, Jung Hoo reaches out to touch her hand before pulling away slightly. It's a delicate balance between longing and fear of getting too close. After saving her, he leans in and kisses her, a sweet yet intense moment that leaves both characters breathless. Young Shin is stunned, grappling with the emotions that swirl around the kiss while Jung Hoo retreats, overwhelmed by his feelings and the weight of his secret. As they separate, Young Shin shares with Moon Ho that she almost died in the elevator but was saved by Healer. Moon Ho, relieved yet concerned, leads her away from the rooftop, sensing danger still looms. Young Shin laments losing her mother's old flip phone during the incident, revealing its sentimental value. Meanwhile, Healer contacts Min Ya to investigate the elevator tampering. He learns that his identity might be at risk as the police are already looking into him. Despite this, Jung Hoo is determined to protect Young Shin and vows to keep her safe. Young Shin visits Moon Ho's place for safety, but their conversation is filled with tension. Moon Ho's protective instincts clash with Young Shin's desire for independence. As they talk, he notices a door ajar in the stairwell. Healer is watching over them from the shadows. Back at his apartment, Jung Hoo discovers that someone has broken in. He realizes it's Teacher, the original Healer, who has vital information about his father's past. The unresolved questions weigh heavily on him as he struggles to understand his family's dark history. The next day, Moon Ho prepares for a crucial press conference aimed at exposing political corruption. Young Shin is eager to help but is also aware of the risks involved. During the conference, chaos erupts when thugs storm in to silence Moon Ho. In a surprising twist, Young Shin stands her ground and fights back, showcasing her bravery. Just as things seem hopeless, Jung Hoo arrives as Healer and swiftly takes down the attackers. Their teamwork shines through as they protect each other amidst the chaos. The connection between them deepens as they share a charged moment in the aftermath of the fight. After their harrowing escape, tensions rise between Jung Hoo and Moon Ho regarding their feelings for Young Shin. Moon Ho confronts Jung Hoo about his intentions, leading to an emotionally charged exchange where both men reveal their vulnerabilities. Meanwhile, Young Shin grapples with her feelings for both men. She feels drawn to Jung Hoo but is also aware of Moon Ho's protective nature and affection for her. This internal struggle adds complexity to her character as she navigates her relationships. In a poignant flashback, Jung Hoo learns more about his father's death from Teacher. The revelation that his father was wrongfully accused of murder sends him spiraling into a quest for justice and answers. The episode culminates in a series of revelations. Moon Ho finds Young Shin's broken cell phone in Jung Hoo's pocket. He questions their relationship. At the same time, Young Shin reaches out to Healer via email, expressing her desire to meet him as a client. Jung Hoo and Young Shin are basking in the aftermath of their kiss, but the joy is short-lived. Moon Ho is on high alert, aware that the stakes are rising as he tries to protect Young Shin from the dangers surrounding them. Meanwhile, Detective Yoon investigates the recent murders linked to Healer, heightening the tension as questions mount. As Moon Ho returns to his apartment, he discovers a briefcase left open, revealing incriminating evidence. He receives a call from Healer, who confronts him about the February 1992 incident. The atmosphere thickens as Moon Ho realizes Healer is closer than he thought, and their conversation leads to a revelation. Moon Ho knows Healer's true identity as Bong Soo. Despite the looming threats, Young Shin prepares for her date with Healer. She dresses up with excitement and anticipation, unaware that Detective Yoon has assigned men to follow her in hopes of uncovering Healer's whereabouts. As she leaves her house, she skillfully evades her pursuers, showcasing her resourcefulness. Meanwhile, Jung Hoo grapples with his feelings and the potential consequences of revealing his identity to Young Shin. Min Ya warns him that exposing himself could make Young Shin an accomplice to his alleged crimes. Torn between love and self-preservation, Jung Hoo decides to go through with the date. The date unfolds at a cozy cafe, where Young Shin waits anxiously for Healer. The atmosphere is charged with anticipation as she reminisces about their shared moments. However, unbeknownst to her, Moon-sik is lurking nearby, ready to exploit any opportunity to trap Healer. When Jung Hoo finally arrives, their connection is palpable. They share tender moments filled with laughter and warmth, a stark contrast to the dangers lurking outside. Just as they begin to relax and enjoy each other's company, the tension escalates when Moon-sik approaches Young Shin under false pretenses. As Moon-sik engages Young Shin in conversation, Jung Hoo senses something is off and rushes to protect her. The stakes rise dramatically when Moon-sik reveals his knowledge of Healer's identity and threatens Young Shin's safety. Jung Hoo realizes he must act quickly to save her from falling into his trap. In a heart-stopping moment, Jung Hoo confronts Moon-sik, leading to a tense standoff where emotions run high. The confrontation highlights Jung Hoo's desperation to protect those he loves while grappling with his own fears about his past and future. The aftermath of the confrontation leaves Jung Hoo shaken but determined. As he processes the events that unfolded during their date, he confronts Moon Ho about their shared past and the pain it has caused him. In an emotional exchange, Jung Hoo expresses his anger towards the adults in his life who have failed him, especially towards Moon Ho. Meanwhile, Young Shin remains steadfast in her support for Jung Hoo, sensing his turmoil and wanting to help him heal from his past traumas. Their bond deepens as they navigate these complex emotions together. Tensions escalate further when Jung Hoo's mother is threatened by Moon Sik's men. As she tries to protect her son from harm, she finds herself caught in a dangerous situation that forces Jung Hoo into crisis mode. His love for his mother drives him to confront his fears head-on. In a gripping sequence, Jung Hoo dons glasses, symbolizing both vulnerability and determination as he prepares for battle against those who threaten his family. The stakes are personal now. He's fighting not just for himself but for his mother's safety. Jung Hoo faces off against Moon Sik in a dramatic showdown that tests his resolve. Despite knowing it's a trap set for him, he charges forward, his love for Young Shin and his mother propelling him into danger. In a heartbreaking moment, Young Shin rushes to find Jung Hoo after hearing about the threats against him. Their reunion is charged with emotion as they embrace. It's a moment of solace amidst chaos where they draw strength from each other. Meanwhile, Young Shin is grappling with the emotional fallout from her discovery that Jung Hoo has been lying to her. She confronts him, her heart heavy with betrayal, as memories of their shared moments flood back. The realization that the man she has fallen for has been living a double life shatters her trust. Jung Hoo, on the other hand, is tormented by guilt and desperation, knowing that he must reveal the truth to her but fearing the consequences. In a poignant scene, Young Shin confides in her father about her heartbreak. Her tears reflect the deep pain of feeling deceived, yet she also acknowledges the love she has for Jung Hoo. This moment highlights her vulnerability and sets the stage for the emotional turmoil that follows. As tensions rise, Jung Hoo decides he must come clean about his identity. He reaches out to Min Ya for help, seeking guidance on how to navigate this delicate situation. Min Ya reminds him that Young Shin deserves the truth and that hiding behind a facade will only lead to more pain. Meanwhile, Young Shin takes matters into her own hands. Determined to uncover the truth about Jung Hoo and Healer, she begins investigating his past. Her resourcefulness shines through as she connects dots and pieces together, clues that led her closer to understanding who Jung Hoo really is. The moment of confrontation arrives when Young Shin finally corners Jung Hoo in a secluded location. Their exchange is charged with emotion as she demands answers. Jung Hoo struggles to articulate his feelings while revealing his true identity as Healer. The tension is palpable. It's a battle between love and fear as they both grapple with their emotions. In a heart-wrenching moment, Jung Hoo explains why he felt compelled to hide his identity, his desire to protect her from the dangers associated with his life as a courier. Young Shin's anger transforms into understanding as she realizes the depth of his feelings for her. Their connection deepens in this moment of vulnerability. Just as they begin to reconcile, danger lurks nearby. Moon Sik, Jung Hoo's brother, is hot on their trail, determined to exploit their vulnerabilities. He orchestrates a plan to lure Jung Hoo into a trap by threatening Young Shin's safety. In a thrilling sequence, Moon Sik's men ambush them, leading to a tense standoff. Jung Hoo's protective instincts kick in as he fights off the attackers, showcasing his skills while desperately trying to keep Young Shin safe. This action-packed scene underscores the stakes involved in their relationship. The emotional stakes escalate further when Jung Hoo's mother becomes embroiled in the conflict. Moon Sik uses her as leverage against Jung Hoo, forcing him into a corner where he must confront his past and make difficult decisions. As tensions mount, Jung Hoo dons his healer persona once again, this time with an added sense of urgency. His love for Young Shin and his mother drives him forward as he prepares for battle against those who threaten his family. Dramatic showdown unfolds between Jung Hoo and Moon Sik. Fueled by rage and desperation, Jung Hoo confronts his brother in an emotionally charged encounter that reveals deep-seated family dynamics and unresolved issues. Meanwhile, Young Shin races against time to find Jung Hoo before it's too late. Her determination showcases her growth as she refuses to be a passive participant in their dangerous game. When they finally reunite amidst chaos, their bond strengthens as they face their adversaries together. Meanwhile, Jung Hoo and Young Shin, who are basking in the warmth of their budding relationship. Their connection is palpable as they share laughter and intimate glances, but the calm is deceptive. Tension looms on the horizon as the truth about their past threatens to unravel their fragile peace. Meanwhile, Moon Ho is busy gathering evidence to exonerate Jung Hoo's father, Seo Jung Hoo, who has been wrongfully accused of murder. He enlists the help of Min Ya, who tracks down leads that could provide crucial information. The stakes are high as they race against time to uncover the truth before it's too late. As Jung Hoo and Young Shin enjoy their time together, Moon Sik, Moon Hoo's brother, makes a sinister move. He picks Young Shin up under the pretense of taking her to meet his wife for an interview. Although she hesitates, she gets into the car, unaware of the trap that awaits her. While this unfolds, Jung Hoo receives a tip about a retired detective who worked on his father's case. He learns that this detective lost his job due to the corruption surrounding Seo Jung Hoo's wrongful conviction. Determined to find answers, Jung Hoo heads out to confront this detective, but he senses danger lurking nearby. Young Shin's meeting with Moon Sik takes a dark turn when he reveals unsettling truths about her past. He shows her an old photo and hints at her biological mother being alive, sending shockwaves through her. As Young Shin processes this revelation, she struggles with feelings of betrayal and confusion. Meanwhile, Jung Hoo is deep in conversation with the retired detective when he receives a call from Young Shin. Distracted by her news about Moon 6 claims, he becomes vulnerable and is caught off guard by thugs who try to ambush him. In a thrilling fight scene, he manages to fend them off while maintaining his focus on Young Shin. As tensions escalate, Moon Ho learns that Young Shin has been picked up by Moon 6 and rushes to intervene. Minya alerts him to Young Shin's location, heightening the urgency of the situation. Jung Hoo realizes that he must act quickly to protect both Young Shin and himself from the dangers posed by his brother. In a gripping sequence, Jung Hoo races against time to reach Young Shin before it's too late. He confronts thugs sent by Moon 6 in a dramatic showdown that showcases his skills as healer while also revealing his emotional turmoil over protecting those he loves. The stakes reach new heights as Young Shin learns more about her mother's identity and her connection to Jung Hoo's father. This revelation sends her spiraling into a whirlwind of emotions. She grapples with feelings of anger and betrayal but also a deep desire to uncover the truth. Meanwhile, Moon Ho finally comes clean about everything he knows regarding their pasts. His honesty serves as a catalyst for change. It forces both Young Shin and Jung Hoo to confront their feelings and the implications of their family histories. Jung Hoo is grappling with the weight of his past as he visits the grave of his mentor, teacher. He pulls out a bottle of soju, paying his respects and reflecting on the sacrifices made for justice. This moment of vulnerability sets the tone for the emotional revelations to come. Meanwhile, Young Shin is on her own journey of discovery. She meets with Myung Hee, who shares vital information about Young Shin's mother and the events that led to their separation. The conversation is charged with emotion as Young Shin learns she was abandoned but lost, a revelation that brings tears to her eyes. This newfound clarity deepens her connection with Jung Hoo, who becomes her confidant in this tumultuous time. As Young Shin processes her emotions, she receives unsettling news about Secretary Oh's release from custody. Jung Hoo learns that a tracker has been placed on Young Shin's phone, indicating that they are being watched. The tension escalates as Jung Hoo realizes they are in greater danger than he thought. In a thrilling sequence, Jung Hoo races against time to protect Young Shin from Moon 6 and his men. He senses a trap closing in around them and must act quickly to ensure her safety. The stakes are higher than ever as he confronts the reality of their situation. The action intensifies when Jung Hoo confronts Secretary Oh at Moon 6's house. In a gripping moment, he reveals his identity as healer, catching Oh off guard. The confrontation is fraught with tension as Jung Hoo demands answers about his father's wrongful conviction and the corruption surrounding it. Meanwhile, Moon Ho prepares for a broadcast that could expose the truth about Seo Jung Soo's case. He enlists Min James' help to retrieve crucial evidence that could turn the tide against their enemies. The atmosphere is electric as they work together to bring justice to light. The narrative shifts as Team Healer executes their plan to expose Elder and Moon 6. Dae-young plays a pivotal role in this operation, showcasing her growth and importance within the team. Together, they create a diversion that allows Jung Hoo and Young Shin to gather evidence against their adversaries. As they delve deeper into the investigation, shocking revelations come to light. Jung Hoo's father was not a murder suspect but a key witness to Gil Han's murder. This twist reshapes everything Jung Hoo thought he knew about his family's past and adds urgency to their quest for justice. The tension reaches its peak when Jung Hoo finds himself at Elder's house, having been drugged and captured. As he regains consciousness, he realizes he must rely on his instincts to escape and protect Young Shin from harm. The stakes are personal now. He is determined not only to save himself but also those he loves. Simultaneously, Young Shin faces her own challenges as she navigates the fallout from her discoveries about her mother. Her resolve strengthens as she vows to uncover the truth and support Jung Hoo in his fight against corruption. The climax unfolds in a dramatic showdown between Jung Hoo and Elder. In a tense confrontation filled with emotional weight, Jung Hoo confronts Elder about his manipulations and threats against his loved ones. The stakes are high as both men grapple with their pasts while vying for control over their futures. In a heart-stopping moment, Young Shin rushes to find Jung Hoo just as Elder attempts to assert his dominance over him. Their reunion is charged with emotion. They draw strength from each other amidst chaos. Jung Hoo is in a state of panic as he realizes that Moon Ho has been kidnapped. Without hesitation, he rushes to find him, leaving Young Shin behind at their apartment. The tension escalates as Young Shin receives an unexpected visitor, Moon 6, accompanied by bodyguards, who brings an ominous presence. Jung Hoo arrives at the empty Someday office where he hears a ringing phone. Answering it, he finds himself speaking with manager An, who has taken control of the SS guard control room. An attempts to recruit Jung Hoo for a mission, but he flatly rejects the offer. The stakes are high as An reveals that Moon Ho is in danger, pushing Jung Hoo to act quickly. Meanwhile, Young Shin confronts Moon 6 about his intentions. He tries to manipulate her emotions by hinting at her mother's past, claiming that Ji and Young Shin's mother is still alive. Young Shin struggles with her feelings of betrayal and confusion as she processes this shocking revelation. Back at the someday office, Jung Hoo learns more about the situation from Min Ya. They devise a plan to rescue Moon Ho while keeping Young Shin safe from harm. The urgency of their mission intensifies as they prepare for a confrontation with Moon Sik and his men. As Jung Hoo gears up for the rescue, he faces off against On's goons in a thrilling action sequence. His skills as healer shine through as he navigates through obstacles to reach Moon Ho. The tension builds as he fights to save his mentor while protecting Young Shin from the chaos unfolding around them. In a dramatic twist, Young Shin decides to take matters into her own hands. She sneaks out to help Jung Hoo, showcasing her bravery and determination. Their paths converge as they join forces against their common enemies. The stakes escalate further as Jung Hoo confronts Elder and manager An. He demands answers about the corruption surrounding his father's wrongful conviction and the threats against his loved ones. The confrontation is filled with emotional weight as Jung Hoo fights not just for himself but for those he cares about. Meanwhile, Young Shin learns more about her mother's identity from Young Hee. This revelation propels her forward in her quest for truth and justice. She vows to support Jung Hoo in his fight against Elder and Moon Sik. As tensions rise, Jung Hoo finds himself in a precarious situation when Elder demands that he hand over critical evidence in exchange for Moon Ho's safety. In a heart-stopping moment, Jung Hoo must decide whether to sacrifice his principles for the sake of those he loves. With Min James' help, they devise a plan to turn the tables on Elder and expose his corrupt dealings. The atmosphere is electric as they prepare for their final showdown, a culmination of all their efforts throughout the series. The climax unfolds in a gripping sequence where Team Healer executes their plan against Elder and his henchmen. In an intense battle filled with twists and turns, each member plays a crucial role in bringing down their adversaries. Young Shin proves herself invaluable as she faces danger head-on alongside Jung Hoo. As the dust settles, justice prevails when Elder and his accomplices are arrested. The victory is bittersweet. While they have triumphed over evil, the emotional toll weighs heavily on everyone involved.